Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for a session of your Village Vitality series. My name is Aline, and we will be doing a little chair yoga together today. So let's talk about what you'll need for class. What you really need is just yourself in comfortable clothing and a sturdy chair to practice in. It's really ideal to use some kind of straight backed chair with minimal cushioning. Now, on the flip side, we don't really want something with zero cushioning. That can really hurt your backside, might make your legs fall asleep a little bit if you're sitting still for a long time. But, you know, we don't always have the perfect chair. So try to practice in whatever you can and feel comfortable in. You can always modify for an armchair, kind of the couch even. It's not ideal, but it's definitely doable. So just be careful if you're practicing in a chair that's not similar to this one. If you don't have padding for your chair, don't add padding. So I really don't recommend adding a cushion unless it's that kind that can tie at the back. That's going to be much safer because it should theoretically not go anywhere. It's secure, it's tied down. But yeah, beyond that, if you would like to set up your yoga mat like I have mine set up, if you have one and you want to use it, go for it. If you have yoga blocks, make sure you have those handy. And if you have a yoga blanket or really any throw blanket, it doesn't even have to be a throw blanket. It could be a comforter or a really thick towel. Basically just something that you can put on the back of the chair just for a little extra padding. We'll be doing a back bend today. That might feel nice to have that padding for. So I think that's about everything in terms of what you'll need. I do recommend practice today barefoot. And beyond that, if you're not comfortable being barefoot or your doctor's told you not to, then just leave your shoes on. Or you can always have socks on, but be mindful that that could make you more prone to sliding or slipping with your feet. Okay? So, with that blanket draped across the back of your chair, we're going to start today with some diaphragmatic breathing. So today's class, I wanted to focus on connection, and that is connecting with the body, connecting with the breathing. So as usual, we'll be doing a lot of movements with the breath, moving breath by breath. And yeah, you'll figure out the rest. So let's go ahead and get comfortable. Now, I recommend for this practice today, scooting your hips all the way back in the chair and leaning back in the chair, trying to maintain an open chest and open ribs and a flat back. So if leaning all the way back makes you round forward like this, try to adjust your positioning so that you can keep that nice long spine and open front of the body. That will be very helpful when we do our diaphragmatic breathing here in a moment. With the legs, you might want to wiggle them out. Make sure they're just relaxed. They don't have to be placed a certain width or a certain way, just comfortable for you. So go ahead and get those wiggles out a little bit. We're going to try to sit here in stillness and observation while we do those deep diaphragmatic breaths, just for a few minutes here to begin. So once you feel like you kind of have those wiggles out, try to find stillness where your body is not moving, except for the movement that you feel coming from your breathing. And so begin to tap into that movement with as much focus as you can. Do you feel any movement in the torso, the chest, or the abdomen when you breathe? And from here, we're going to begin to try to visualize our rib cages. Now, it doesn't matter if you don't know the anatomy, you don't know how many ribs there are, or what exactly it looks like. We're doing this more by feel than anything else. So you may like to bring your hands to the ribs and just kind of feel around. Thumbs can come along the back of the rib cage, fingers across the front, just kind of feeling where those ribs are. And maybe feeling the movement of those ribs a little bit more now that your hands are on them while you're breathing. You can feel all the way up to the sides, fronts, just trying to notice, to palpate whatever you can. Helping you to create a mental image. You might want to leave your hands somewhere on the rib cage or let them relax back down to your lap once you have felt what you're trying to notice. And so imagining and possibly feeling with your hands the ribs expanding and spreading and lifting on each inhale. And then releasing back to their original shape and position on each exhale. And as you're feeling that and seeing that in your mind's eye, see if you can add now a mental image of your diaphragm, your primary breathing muscle. Your diaphragm is nestled up into the rib cage like an upside down bowl, or you could think of it like a parachute up in the rib cage. Or some people like to think of the shape of a jellyfish. But when we inhale and we feel those ribs expand and spread apart and lift, our diaphragm is actually flattening in the rib cage and pressing downward. It tugs on the base of the lungs a little bit, helping us to fill in more air. It never moves below the level of the ribs, really below the level of the chest. And so move your hands around. You won't be able to feel your diaphragm, but just trying to feel and then create in your mind's eye that movement of the ribs, and now knowing how that diaphragm moves. So remember, on exhale, it's like an upside down bowl. On inhale, it contracts, flattens, presses down. That's why we sometimes feel our belly rise when we take a very deep breath. And then on exhale, it releases, nestles back up into the rib cage to that upside down bowl shape. And so as best you can here, continue with this visualization, now seeing the movement of that diaphragm. Linking with the movement of the ribs and the belly. And take several more breaths here, trying to visualize the ribs and the diaphragm with each breath. Maybe breathing deeper now, fuller, bringing more movement to the body just by your breath, deepening. And when you're ready, on your next exhale, you can release that breathing technique, that visualization. You may want to try to maintain this deep diaphragmatic breathing as long as you can throughout class. But if it's tiring or uncomfortable, then you can let go of that breathing pattern as well and just allow your body to breathe on its own. And slowly begin to lift your back away from the back of the chair, scooting forward maybe halfway to the front of your chair. So you've still got support under the legs. You're not all the way at the edge, but you're able to root the feet down and lift up through the top of the head. And whenever you're ready, begin to trace some half circles with the head. So we're going to drop that left ear to the left shoulder. Pausing here, lengthening through the right side of the neck. Slowly rolling the chin down towards the chest now. Pausing here for a breath or two. And then slowly pressing that right ear to the right shoulder. Trying to relax both shoulders down. And then slowly lifting that head back to center to complete that half circle. Go ahead and continue to circle, dropping left ear to left shoulder. Just a breath now, no more, dropping chin to chest. And then pressing right ear to right shoulder and head to center. Go ahead and take about 2 more circles at your own pace, maybe moving faster or slower than I was cueing for those first 2 rounds. And now the next time you drop that left ear to the left shoulder, go ahead and let that left shoulder drop a little bit to the left side. Start to circle that body forward. Try not to round the back here, especially if you have osteoporosis in your spine. Right ear to right shoulder as you drop that right shoulder over to the right side. So we're just kind of creating circles from the torso now. Still working with the head movement, but combining it in any way that feels good with our neck circles. So I'm making fairly large circles, but you may not with your torso. You may want to move a little smaller. Just try to tap in and see what feels good to the body. Take 1 more circle like that. Remember taking care not to round forward, keeping the spine long. And the next time you come back to center, just pause here. And we'll take circles in the opposite direction, starting with the neck first. So right ear to right shoulder, pausing for a breath or 2 for this first circle. Chin to chest. Left ear to left shoulder. head to center. Take one more slow circle with just the neck like that. Right ear to right shoulder. Breathe. Lengthen through that left side. Chin to chest. Let the head be heavy, but the spine be long. So try not to let that head tug you down into a forward rounding or forward fold position. Left ear to left shoulder. Slowly that head comes back to center. Now incorporating the whole spine in these half circles. So dropping right ear to right shoulder, but then also the right shoulder down towards the ground. Releasing that chin to chest and at the same time hinging forward, trying not to round the spine. Pressing over to that left side, left ear to left shoulder towards the ground. Inhaling to center. Go ahead and take about 2 or 3 more torso circles like that. Moving slow, trying to observe whatever you can while you're going through this movement. Maybe you notice certain spots that are extra tight or resistant. Or you notice that moving in one direction was easier than moving the other way. The next time you bring yourself back to center, go ahead and stay here. Sitting up tall, lifting through the top of that head. And we'll begin to take a slightly different spinal movement, some twisting. So deep inhale here in the center. Exhale, start to push that left hand forward as you draw the right hand back, opening the chest to that right side. Inhale to center. Hands move to the middle of the thighs, and exhale, right hand moves all the way forward towards the knee, left hand back towards the hip, chest opens to the left. Inhaling to center. Exhaling, twist to the right side, left hand moving forward, right hand moving back. Each time you move here, an inhale takes you to center, and an exhale moves you into your twist. Maybe your eyes are still closed. I just realized I haven't opened my eyes yet until now. You know, that kind of works, I guess, since I can't see you anyways. And a lot of times it feels good to keep those eyes closed. It really helps us to observe more deeply what we're feeling in the body. Take one more twist to each side. And once you make your way back to center, we're going to take some shoulder rolls. These are called infinity rolls. We're lifting one shoulder up as we press the other down, circling one back as we bring the other forward, and then reversing or, kind of switching sides. So one shoulder is kind of doing the opposite of the other. It can feel really different, deeper than doing both shoulders with the same movement. Notice too how if you're looking at me now, you can see that my chest is kind of twisting a little bit side to side. My hands are moving up and back along my legs, very similar to the twisting that we just did. So see if you can manage a few more circles like this. And then once we finally get it down, we're going to reverse directions and confuse ourselves all over again. Little brain flossing action here. So go ahead and reverse directions. Wherever you were at in that shoulder circling, you're just kind of moving in the opposite way. Taking some nice deep breaths while you're working through these movements. Eyes may be open or they may be closed. Take one more infinity roll. And release both shoulders down. Let's go ahead and scoot a little further forward in our chair now. So now we're going to make our way towards the edge of that chair. Walk those feet forward so that the heels are underneath the knees. And from here, we're going to draw that right knee up towards the chest unless we've had a very, very recent hip replacement, like 6 months or 9 months or less. If you've had that recent hip replacement, we're going to be doing hip circles, but instead you will open the hip out and then bring it back in, trying not to lift that knee higher than the hip, just like this. And really, all of you can do this way if this feels better to you. But if you can, I would like for you to try some circling. So drawing the knee up and then out, down and back in. Just for a little more range of motion in that hip. You can certainly use both hands, but you probably won't be able to get as much range of motion. We want to keep that back nice and straight. Work with the variation that feels best for you. Reverse directions, but hip replacements, you're just keeping on going. Out and in, out and in. There is no reversing directions. Take one more circle or one more out and in movement. And then go ahead and straighten that leg out and down, heel to the ground. Let's lift that left arm up, palm down. Lift that right leg just a little bit. We're going to point the toes and make a fist with that right hand or left hand. If you would like to, you can bring that right hand behind you for some support. Then we're going to flex the toes and spread those fingers. Exhale, point, make a fist. Inhale, flex and spread the fingers, and also lift the fingers up. Exhale. And inhale. Exhale. A little more brain flossing here. Really good fine-tuned joint movement. One more time. And releasing that heel down. Bring both hands to that left thigh and just start to hinge forward. No rounding of the back here. So maybe you're only hinging forward a couple inches. Think of that belly button trying to fold forward towards that left thigh. Just getting a little bit of a stretch here in the back of that right leg, or maybe a lot of stretch, just depending. Not holding here for very long, but let's take an inhale to lift up and exhale to draw that right foot back in. Now we'll work with the left leg. So hip replacements, out and in, trying not to lift that knee higher towards the chest. And again, anyone can take that variation if that feels better to you. If you can, you're circling that knee. Just getting a little bigger movements in the hip. Maybe you're using one hand here or both hands. And reverse directions if you're circling. Keep going if you're tapping out and coming back in. The next time you bring that leg back to center, go ahead and straighten that leg out and down to the ground. Straighten that right arm out in front of you, palm down. Left hand can come behind you, and you can lean back a little for some support if you would like to, if that feels okay to you. Or you can stay upright. It's really up to you. And we're going to lift that left leg just slightly. Pointing on our exhale, making a fist. Inhaling to flex. And try to lift that wrist up and spread those fingers apart. Exhaling, fist, pointing. Inhaling, fingers spread, foot flexes. Moving breath by breath here. One more breath, exhaling, inhaling. And this time as you exhale, release the leg and the arm down. Go ahead and bring both hands to the right thigh, very slowly trying to press the belly forward, just to hinge a little bit into a little hamstring and calf stretch on that left leg. Remember, we do not want to round the spine like this for many reasons. One being it's not great for the spine, especially because we tend to overdo that movement in a regular, just day-to-day basis. And also, if we're rounding, we're not maximizing the stretch. We're not really getting the right angle of the pelvis to be able to get a good stretch here. Just one more breath. And on an inhale, let that inhale help lift you back up to seated, drawing that left foot in. And we're going to take 3 vinyasas, just inhaling up, exhaling to fold forward, and doing that 3 times. So I'm going to demonstrate. Those of you with osteoporosis in the spine, I'm going to show your version first, or anyone who the second version that I show, if that hurts your back, then stick with this first version. So version 1, we're inhaling the arms up, exhaling the hands down to the thighs, and hinging forward at the hip crease. Spine stays long, just about halfway, or I don't even, like a quarter of the way down to folding. And then inhaling to come back up. Okay, so you'll just be taking this little hinge and then back. Now, if you have a relatively healthy spine that you're aware of, then you can take the fold forward. And this is okay if you have spinal stenosis or degenerative disc disease. Forward bending is okay for those, as long as it feels okay to you. So for those situations, it's just based on what feels good and what doesn't. But if you can, version number 2, inhaling the arms up, and exhaling the arms to the thighs, but instead of stopping about here, you'll continue all the way down as far as you can. Maybe hands coming all the way down to the feet as you take that exhale. And then as you inhale, just like we're doing with version 1, coming all the way back up to seated. So go ahead and take 3 breaths, either just folding a quarter of the way or folding all the way or anywhere in between. Okay. When you're ready, deep inhale. Exhale, fold. As that inhale begins, you start to lift. And exhale in neutral. Inhale, arms up. Exhale to fold. Inhale to lift. And exhale to release. One more breath like that, moving at your pace, your version here. Exhaling to release. And then go ahead and scoot back in your chair, making sure that blanket is still there for support. We'll just take a little supported back bend here to counteract those forward folds. So this type of back bending is great for pretty much everybody, as long as it feels okay to you. It's a very gentle back bend. So we're bringing those arms back behind us. I like to press my elbows back into the back of the chair. And then find my shoulder blades, there they are, to the back of the chair. And then just releasing back. So I'm really taking a very mindful effort to press the belly forward, press the ribs forward, and the chest forward. Maybe I let those arms open by the sides here, palms facing out. Maybe I want to lift those arms a little higher to get a little more chest opening. So again, it's whatever feels good to your body. We're trying to connect here and to listen to the cues our body gives us. Don't let that head fall back uncontrolled. So we want to keep the neck engaged, keep the chin almost maybe like you're tucking just a little bit, like you're trying to hold something under the chin. So again, you're not letting the head fall back. When you're ready to come out of this back bend, release the arms first. Start to release the back bend. Pressing into the palms behind you to lift away from the back of that chair. Let's go ahead and scoot forward again to the edge of that seat. Straightening both legs out. A little bit of space between those feet. And we're keeping the thighs engaged so we're not locking those knees out. So if we disengage here, it's really easy to lock in those knee joints, and it's not good for the joint, and it's not good for circulation either. So keep a little bend, kind of keep this area active. Let's bring those arms forward. Lift up through the crown of the head. Exhale to rock back just an inch or 2 or 3 until you feel all of those abdominal area light up and engage. And then let's come forward again to neutral. So rock back on your exhale. On your inhale, release, coming forward. This is called boat pose or Navasana. So when we're in this backwards position, we're mimicking this boat pose that we might be doing on the mat seated. So rock back again. This time, if you feel that you can, let's twist. So we're staying in that rock back. Oh, we're feeling those abdominals engage pretty powerfully here. Twisting side to side and then coming up. Let's try that one more time. Rock back, twist right. Ooh, I'm feeling some heat building. Like I want to take this sweatshirt off. I'm getting a little hot from those abdominal activation. Go ahead and come up and release those arms. Let's take a very gentle and precautious lean forward. We are at the edge of the chair, so we don't want to lean so far forward that we feel like we're going to fall. Don't put weight in the knees. If you can, with the hands, you can reach all the way towards the shins. And then slowly come back up, maybe massaging those legs a little bit, just helping to stimulate blood flow and circulation. So it doesn't have to be anything hard, be very gentle. We want to keep the spine long, don't let the back round. So that may determine how far you can fold. And I'm just running my fingers along the thighs. Maybe now I'm going to hit the backs of the thighs. Maybe circling to the front or the inside. Let's take one more fold forward. And slowly coming up. And walking those feet in. Let's open those legs out now. So I'm opening out to the sides. And in fact, from here, I'm going to try to open that right knee as far out as I can and start to straighten that left leg. Coming into a warrior two position. So the hips are still, the chest is still facing forward, hips are still kind of facing forward, but my legs are out to the sides. So I might feel a stretch here in the thighs, inner thighs. Might feel it in a lot of places here, but this is called warrior two pose. So we're trying to press through the feet, see if we can lift those arms out to the sides. And from here, we're going to rotate that right palm up, bring that left hand to the thigh or maybe the hip or maybe the chair, and inhale that right arm up, just taking a little bit of a side reach, kind of back bend. Trying to keep that chest open and maybe even opening towards the ceiling. Couple breaths here. Inhale to come up. Exhale. Now we're going to bring that right elbow to the right thigh and sweep that left arm down and around. Lengthening now through that whole left side. Maybe you want to bring the hand to the chair instead, or if you have a block, hand can come to that block. Inhaling up. Let's go 2 more times. Inhaling and breathing here in your sort of back bend position. I'm going to bring this hand to my seat behind me. You could bring the hand to a block. You could bring the hand to the hip. Inhaling up. And exhaling to that side angle position. I'm bringing hand to the block here. But again, you can bring that hand to the thigh, elbow to the thigh, or hand to the chair. Breathing here. So we're just trying to expand through the sides of the body now, from the ribs to the hips. One more time in that back bend. And then one more time in what's called extended side angle. Take an inhale to come back to center. One more time in warrior two here. Take another deep inhale and exhale. Let it go. Just kind of let yourself relax. Walk those feet back in. Make sure those hips are back centered on the chair as well as scooted towards the edge. We're going to take 3 more of our forward folds and lifts with our breaths. But remember, osteoporosis of the spine, you're just going to, or anyone, you're going to fold just about a quarter of the way, just until the back might start rounding, and then you're going to come up. Okay, so let's take our 3 folds here. Inhaling the arms up. Exhaling forward any amount. Inhaling to lift up. And exhaling a sigh. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhaling back up. And exhaling. One more time. And scooting those hips back now, at least to the middle of the chair, but maybe even towards a little more towards the back of the chair. Releasing into our back bend. So hands come behind the hips, elbows maybe pressing into that chair. Find your upper back somewhere along maybe the bottom of the shoulder blades, middle of the shoulder blades, top of the shoulder blades. Just kind of depends on your chair back height and your height. And we'll release into that back bend. So we're really pressing the front of the body forward, opening that chest up and out, and maybe even opening the arms. And if you find it a little challenging to lift the gaze and keep all this engaged and not let the head fall back, then I would rather you actually tuck the chin. So you're still getting that opening across the chest, but you're not risking the head falling back unsupported. You could even interlace the fingers and bring them to the back of the head here. This might be a nice little variation if it feels good to you to support that head and keep it from hyperextending back. Taking about 2 more breaths here. And when you're ready, slowly start to first tuck the chin, release the hands, maybe pressing into the palms to help you lift yourself away from the back of that chair. And then beginning to shift the hips forward in that seat again. One more time, practicing Navasana, our boat pose. Straightening those legs out, but not letting them lock. So I'm keeping the thighs engaged, keeping a little bend in the knees. Inhaling the arms up. And remember, this time we're going to add that twist if that feels accessible to you. So if you don't want to twist, you're just going to lean back and then come forward and back and forward. Otherwise, we're going to come back, twist, twist, and then forward. Probably just about 3 or 4 times, depending on whether you're adding that twist or not. Exhale, lean back. Keep breathing here as you twist right. Twist left. I like to do that on an exhale. Inhale, center. And come and release forward. Let's try that 2 more times if you're twisting. Maybe a little more if you're not. Exhale, lean back. Take an inhale here. Exhale, twist right. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist left. Inhale, center. And release forward or just to neutral. One more time if you can. If not, sit it out or go ahead and move into your forward fold if you'd like to. Exhale, lean on back. Deep inhale here. Exhale, twist right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. And release forward. Good. And this time we are going to release a couple breaths, maybe like 3 breaths. Folding forward on the exhale, coming up on the inhale. Remember, we're trying not to round the spine forward. We want to keep the spine long. So exhaling. And inhaling. Maybe massaging those legs, helping with the lymph, the flow of lymph through our lymph nodes and lymph system, helping with the circulation a little bit, just feeling good. It can be nice, even self-massage can have great benefits for the body. Maybe one more fold if you would like. The next time you make your way back up to seated, go ahead and walk those feet in and start to open those feet out now. As wide as you can here, and then we'll begin our setup for Warrior 2. So turning those left toes out to the left side as much as you can. We're now going to straighten that right leg out. And you know, your leg may be on more of a diagonal, and that's okay. We're not coming to standing here, so the alignment is not so important. We just want to try to open out as much as we can, but without force, without hurting or pushing through pain. Inhale those arms up, Warrior 2. Chest is still forward in line with the back of that chair. Gazing over that left fingertip. Maybe that left middle finger even to fine-tune that gaze a little bit more. And we'll take our 3 times moving into our back bend or reverse warrior. So I'll demonstrate real quick on this side. We'll inhale to reverse that warrior. Exhale to come to extended side angle. In that side angle, I'm making this long line of the whole body from the finger to the toe, fingers to toes. And you may take more than a breath in each of these positions. I feel like it feels really nice and coordinates the mind and body and breath if we can do it breath by breath, but if we can't, we just do what we can. So 3 times in each position. Inhaling, left arm up, right hand down. And moving into that side angle. Maybe the hand comes to a block if you have it. Chest stays opening forward even here. Inhaling to your back bend. And exhaling to your side angle. You might not be able to go breath by breath, but at least you can initiate those movements. One more time. Initiate on your inhale, and maybe you're taking 2 or 3 breaths to get all the way to that back bend / side bend. And then start the movement of moving into side angle on an exhale, but it may take you a breath or 2 to get all the way there. That's okay. Coming back to center, Warrior 2, one more deep inhale here. And on your exhale, let it go. Walk those feet forward or back together to the middle. And we're going to do a brief sequence behind the chair before we relax. So, might want to move those blocks out of the way. Actually, I'm going to move them just over to the side. Coming behind the chair, I'm actually going to move my chair since I am using a yoga mat. I'm going to move my chair to the front of my mat so that I can stand behind it. We're just going to do a brief standing sequence here. I'm going to move this blanket so you might be able to see my body a little better, possibly. And so I'm standing, both hands on the chair, feeling that support, feeling very stable in my feet and not having to worry about balance. I can even close the eyes here and maybe feel a little more confident in my stance. From here, we're going to shift the weight a little bit into that left foot, bend that right knee. Lifting that right heel, and then taking a step back with that right foot. So I'm staying on the toes here, bending into that left knee, and then trying to press that right heel back towards the ground into a lunge position. Maybe that right arm lifts if I'm feeling pretty confident. Maybe even that left arm lifts, especially if I've got the whole back foot on the ground. Coming into a high lunge or a warrior one position. On an exhale, if your hands are not already down to the chair, go ahead and bring them down. Straighten that front leg. Now both legs are straight but not locked. Press especially that left hip back. Try to press the right hip forward so we have this kind of opposite dynamic to the hips. And then hinge forward. Oh, feeling that stretch in the front leg. This is called pyramid pose. You can come down as deep as you would like. So some of you may be able to get those forearms down, maybe even rest that forehead. Breathing here. On an inhale, start to lift just a little bit through the chest. Start to pivot onto the back toes a little bit. Now, here we're trying to come into a downward dog. So you can do a couple different things. I would probably recommend walking that back foot in just a hair and then trying to step the left foot back to meet the right. And then this may be deep enough for you. You're going to bend the knees and press that butt back, lengthening through the spine. Oof, feeling that juicy stretch everywhere along the back of the body. Or you may want to walk the feet even further back, lengthening through the whole spine and allowing the chest to sink down. But only if that feels good to you and only if you can keep from rounding the back. So if I'm here all rounded up, that's not great for my spine. I need to be able to press those hips back and let the belly release down and keep the spine long if I'm coming to this position. Otherwise, you're going to be a little bit more upright like so. When you've had enough of this downward dog, slowly start to lift up, walking those feet forward. Finding that standing mountain pose again, feet about hip width apart, fingertips on the chair. Start to shift the weight to that right foot just a little bit, bend that left knee, come onto the left toes. Take a step back with that left foot. Trying to bend into the front knee and release that back heel down. It may not come all the way down. That's okay. So you may be on your toes a little bit. That's fine. So you're either in warrior one or a high lunge. Maybe just that left arm comes up or no arms come up. Maybe both arms come up. Just here for another breath or two. Exhaling the hands to the chair if they're not already there. Straighten that front leg now so both legs are straight. I'm pressing the right hip back, left hip forward. So That's going to bring my pelvis into good alignment here. And then I'm going to sink down any amount to increase that stretch. Possibly forearms to the chair, or depending on your chair height, maybe you can get the hands to the seat of the chair. But again, we need to keep that spine long here and not allow it to round. Pyramid. Deep stretching here. A lot of sensation. Let that breath match in intensity, so make sure you're not holding the breath. You might actually be deepening it. When you're ready, slowly start to lift out of this position. Take a little step or two in with that left foot, and then step back with the right foot. One more downward dog. So again, maybe you're staying right about here, and you're trying to push that butt back, feeling that stretch. Maybe letting the knees bend. So a lot of folks, you're going to have those knees bent. Otherwise, the back's rounding. So if you notice the back's rounding and you're thinking, how do I get out of this position? Doesn't make sense. Bend the knees. Try to press the belly down towards the ground. Then see if you can let that chest drop any amount. And again, maybe you're walking those feet back further for a deeper stretch. It's up to you. When you're ready to come out of this, lift the head and shoulders first, and feel free to stay there a little longer. We have time. Then slowly start to walk the feet forward. Standing up tall, lifting through the top of the head, through the chest. And let's go ahead and make our way down to the chair. So I'm going to scoot mine back, just so I'm not all the way over in the side of the frame there. I'm going to bring this blanket back because I'll be relaxing in my chair. However, you may want to move. Eventually, we're going to do one more relaxing little technique here. And actually, go ahead and bring yourself to wherever you would be doing Shavasana. So Shavasana is our final relaxation posture. I recommend laying down on your couch. If you can get up and down off the floor, you can come down to the floor, put your legs up into the chair. Those of you that are staying in the chair, you'll kind of mimic what I'm doing. But let's go ahead and scoot. So lay down if you're going to. Maybe go move to an lazy boy, recliner type chair, whatever you want to. Wherever you end up, you're trying to relax back. So even if you're staying in your chair like I am, I've got this blanket draped over. I'm relaxing back, fully supported. And I'm going to go ahead and just bring my palms together and just rub them together, just creating a little heat, a little friction. Just making sure my hands aren't really cold before I do this lovely face massage. This is great if you have issues with TMJ, tension headaches, or even if you don't have any of those issues, it can feel really nice. So we're just going to take the heels of our hands and just kind of massage and squish our cheeks and our face around. So yes, it looks kind of funny. I'm keeping the jaw relaxed. And my microphone's a little bit in the way, but if I could, I would work both hands kind of up towards that TMJ or that, I honestly forget. It's it's a very long word for your joint, basically right here in front of the ear. Something mandibular joint. So again, I would be doing both hands if I didn't have that microphone. Maybe working down to the chin. Squishing around the mouth. And just see what feels good to you. Work maybe up and back to the temples, even. Just trying to release some tension here. We tend to hold in the face more than we might think. And when you've had enough, you're just going to release those hands down. Close your eyes. Relax. I'm going to let my knees kind of fall open, kind of wiggle my feet around, and then let them just relax. Taking a couple more deep breaths and then letting go of that breathing. Settling in, letting go. This final posture of relaxation, of renewal, of integration. If you've been taking deep, relaxing breaths, go ahead and release that effort. Just allowing the breath to slide in and out of the nostrils. With each exhale you take here, just feeling as if some part of the body's melting. So the tension, the tightness is just melting away. Fully relaxed. Before you begin to bring movement back, just take one more observation of any sensations you feel in the body. Does it feel any different than when you started class? And then when you're ready, begin to invite deeper breathing. Feeling that increased movement in the ribs, maybe even into the belly as that diaphragm presses down and flattens out against your abdominal organs. And they have nowhere to go but to expand that belly out. Feel it all release on exhale. And as you take these deeper breaths, feel as if you're breathing movement back to the fingers and the toes. Back to the ankles and wrists. Maybe even the arms and the legs stretching out. Perhaps making your way back to a seated position, especially if you're already in a chair. Maybe staying reclined if you're laying back. Trying to stack the spine, which is naturally occurring if you are laying down. Draw the palms together in front of the heart. May you feel this connection with your body and your breath throughout the rest of your day. Namaste. When you're ready, you can slowly start to open the eyes. And thank you so much for joining me today for our practice. If you have any questions or you need any equipment or help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I hope that I will hear from you. Even if you just want to reach out and say, hey, Aline. But if not, I hope that I see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.